We were sent to run a simple night route through the Highlands. Harper's map said one thing, Kim's GPS said another. And somewhere in the fog, a sound answered like it already knew our names.
Kim tried to raise command, and the radio answered with static. Then it changed into something wet and slow, like breathing. Harper leaned in to listen. Reed kept watching the fog like it could blink.
Harper found the track where the ground turned to mud. At first it looked like a boot print. Then the shape stretched. Too long, too deep. Like something heavy was practicing how to walk like us. The first howl came from somewhere ahead, far enough to feel unreal. And the fog behind us answered with the same sound, only closer. Like it was repeating it. Like it was learning us.
We saw a light in the fog. Just a blink, then nothing. Not ours. Not friendly. It flickered again, higher up. Like someone wanted us to follow. And Harper didn't like how quiet the hills stayed.
We found the rucksack where the light had blinked, half swallowed by peat. The straps were torn like something had dragged it. Inside was blood and a snapped radio cord. Whatever lost this didn't walk away.
Jules touched the mud and pulled back blood the rain hadn't washed away. Still warm. Mason stepped back like the ground might grab him next. And Reed kept scanning the fog. Because you don't leave fresh blood behind unless something is close.
The fog moved the wrong way against the wind, like something had pushed through it. Reed stopped us cold. Between the trees, eyes caught the moon for a heartbeat. Then the night swallowed them again. Ground ahead was torn up in a circle, gouged like something had spun there in a rage. Scratches climbed a boulder higher than any animal could reach. Harper didn't say it out loud, but we all thought it. This wasn't wildlife.
We saw it move. Too fast to count, too close to ignore. It ran low through the fog, then rose up for 2 steps like a man. Reed tracked the dark with his rifle, and the radio crackled like it was laughing.
Harper didn't chase it. He regrouped us and signaled the only smart move. Back the way we came. The map still said we were safe. Kim's marker jumped like it was lying. And the fog closed in like it didn't want us leaving.
We turned back the way we came, and the path was gone. Heather covered our tracks like a hand smoothing a grave. Kim's marker flipped direction, and Harper's map stopped making sense. That's when I knew we weren't lost. For a second, the fog lifted, and we saw them on the ridge. 2 shapes standing upright, perfectly still, like sentries. They didn't chase us. They watched, until the mist rolled back in and erased them.
Harper listened like he could make sense of it. Mason just stared like the sound already knew him. Then it cut to silence.
Out of the fog, a croft appeared. Stone walls hunched against the night. Every window was dark, except one, glowing warm behind a curtain. In a place like this, a light isn't comfort. It's an invitation.
Harper tested the door. It wasn't locked. When it opened, warm light poured out like a hand reaching for us. And in that moment, the croft didn't feel abandoned. It felt ready.
Inside, it was warmer than it should have been. Embers still glowed in the hearth, like someone had just left. Antlers hung on the wall like trophies. And on the table, an old radio hummed softly, as if the croft was listening.
A floorboard creaked behind us. Reed snapped around, rifle up. Then a man stepped out with his hands raised, soaked, shaking, eyes like flint. He looked at Harper like we'd dragged the night in with us.
Ewan shoved the map flat and jabbed one place hard enough to wrinkle the paper. He didn't explain it like a story. He warned it like a rule. And Harper's face said he believed him.
We crammed into the croft kitchen, dripping rain onto old floorboards. Harper traced our way out on the table, while Kim kept the light low. Joe steadied Mason when his hands wouldn't stop shaking. Reed watched the window like something outside was listening back.
Reed didn't argue. He started building a barricade like he'd done it before. Fast, quiet, certain. Wood scraped stone and the lantern swung, throwing antler shadows across the walls. Whatever was outside wasn't rushing. It was waiting. And
Jules checked his arm and found the truth under the sleeve. 4 fresh claw marks, 2 wide apart, 2 deep. Harper leaned in and didn't ask what did it. Ewan's silence said it loud enough.
Kim pulled back the rug and found a hatch. Iron ring, scratch boards, like something had worried at it for years. Harper knelt to look and Mason didn't. The floor felt thinner than it should have been, like the house had a second mouth.
Harper put his hand on the ring, then let go. One shake of his head and we all understood. You don't open unknown doors in the dark. Kim backed away. Ewan didn't. He kept staring at the hatch like it was the point.
It hit the croft once, hard enough to shake dust from the beams. Not a crash, a test. The lantern swung and antler shadows danced like warning signs. Reed aimed at the door, and we waited for the second hit.
Mason couldn't stop shaking. Jules steadied his rifle with 2 fingers and forced his breathing down like it was a drill. Reed stayed locked on the door, waiting. Because whatever hit the wall wasn't trying to break in yet. It was measuring us.
The window cracked like a warning shot. Then a claw slid down the glass. Slow, patient, like it wanted us to see it. It didn't break in. It just marked the pain and let us imagine what the rest of it looked like.
Don't breathe loud. Don't panic. Don't let them hear fear. Harper signaled us into positions like we were back on exercise. Except the thing testing the window wasn't human.
We didn't see them clearly, just shapes moving through fog like sharks underwater. Reed tracked the shadows without showing himself. Harper started counting, then stopped. Because the circling didn't feel like hunting. It felt like they were deciding who belonged to them.
The howl came from inches away, so close the stone vibrated. The lantern flame bucked like it wanted to die. Reed aimed at the door and Harper didn't blink. Because that sound wasn't a warning. It was a promise.
It climbed onto the roof like it weighed nothing. Claws scraped slate slowly, moving above us, back and forth, choosing a spot. Dust fell from the beams. And the worst part was the patience, like it was deciding how to open the house. The claws stopped above us. Then the chimney made a sound like a throat drawing air. Soot drifted down into the hearth in a slow black sprinkle. Harper stared up and nobody moved, because whatever was on the roof had found another way in.
Something moved at the window again. Too close. Too confident. Reed fired once and the flash lit the croft like lightning. The shadow snapped back into the fog. Harper stopped him from firing again, because now it knew exactly where we were.
It didn't come through like an animal. A hand punched through the window frame and tore at the wood like it was paper. Jules dragged Mason back. Reed aimed at the claws. Then it withdrew into the fog. Not beaten. Just bored.
The door buckled like it was made of paper. The barricade jumped and the latch rattled like teeth. Harper threw his shoulder into the table and Kim wedged it tighter. The second hit cracked the hinge, and then it stopped, like it wanted to hear us break.
We didn't enter the basement so much as let it swallow us. The door opened above, boots hit the steps, and lantern light crawled across stone. Shadows moved where people should have been. Down here, even the air felt occupied.
The cellar swallowed us in damp stone and cold air. Kim's lantern painted the walls in gold, and Mason stopped like he'd hit a wall, because the smell wasn't mold or peat. It was wet fur, and something that had been breathing down here.
Kim's lantern found the marks on the stone, fresh gouges cut deep. Harper stepped in close, then looked up. The scratches climbed higher than any man could reach, and the worst part wasn't that something clawed its way in, it was that it clawed its way out.
Kim's lantern found a chain bolted into stone. Harper followed it to the end and saw the damage. Bent links, a smashed padlock, metal scraped like something fought to get free. Ewan wouldn't look at it. Whatever used to be held down here wasn't held anymore.
The growl came from right above the stairs, close enough to feel in your ribs. Reed covered the opening and Harper signaled silence. Kim lowered the lantern like light was a confession. Then the claws scraped once on wood, and the house went still again. Harper pulled us close and drew a plan with his finger. No words, just choices. Stairs up meant death. The only hope was deeper, through a passage Ewan swore led out the back. Reed kept listening to the opening, because whatever was upstairs hadn't gone anywhere.
The passage was too narrow, too low, like it was never meant for people in armor. Then the stone changed ahead. Newer, cleaner, wrong. Ewan slowed like he didn't recognize it anymore, and the draft coming from deeper in felt less like air.
The tunnel opened into a chamber that felt like it was waiting. Kim's lantern revealed puddles and faint footprints that led in, then stopped like someone had stood there listening. Above us, the croft thudded again. Whatever was upstairs wasn't giving up, and neither could we.
Lantern flame leaned the wrong way, like the air itself was guiding us back in. That's when it hit me. The tunnels weren't an escape route. They were part of the trap.
The exit was a lie. We turned back, and the tunnel was filling with fog, rolling in low like smoke. It didn't drift, it advanced. Reed aimed into the mist, but there was nothing solid to shoot, only movement where the fog rippled like something was breathing.
The fog wasn't blocking the tunnel, it was claiming it. Then Kim's lantern found another way. A second tunnel, half hidden, breathing out cold air. Harper didn't hesitate. We moved as one, leaving the mist behind, and stepping into a darkness that felt even older.
The second tunnel was tighter, colder, like it was closing around us. Kim's lantern barely reached the bend ahead. Mason scraped his helmet, and Jules shoved him forward. We kept moving.
And stopped us with a fist. Then we heard it, something like a whisper inside the stone. Harper leaned close to listen, and Mason looked ready to bolt. The sound died, like it was learning us.
Kim's lantern reached the bend and found fresh gouges in the stone. The scratches climbed higher than a man's shoulder, like something huge had brushed past. Harper signaled slow. The draft ahead felt like a mouth.
The tunnel opened up, and the air changed. Warmth rolled over us, wrong for somewhere this deep. The lantern flame flared like it liked the heat. Harper scanned ahead because warmth down here meant one thing. We were close.
Ewan found a crack in the stone, barely an exit, just a slit-breathing fog. Harper signaled single file. Mason swallowed and stepped up first. Behind us, the tunnel stayed silent, like it was waiting for us to choose wrong.
Mason went first, turning sideways and forcing himself through the crack. Stone scraped his kit, and Jules kept him moving. For a second, he vanished into fog. Then his hand reached back, telling us it worked.
We came out of the rock like we'd been swallowed and spat back. The fog outside wasn't moving with the wind, it just waited. Harper signaled silence and scanned the hillside. Even free air felt trapped.
Reed was supposed to be right behind us, but the crack stayed empty. Harper leaned in, listening, and Kim went pale. The fog shifted behind us like something had stepped closer. And still, no Reed.
A hand came out of the crack. Reed's glove, 2 fingers raised. Wait. Harper froze like the signal was real. Ewan didn't blink. Then the hand withdrew and the fog thickened at the opening. Like it didn't want him out.
Reed crawled out at last. Slow, calm, too calm. Harper reached for him, then stopped. Reed didn't look at us first. He looked into the fog like it was calling him. When he finally nodded, it felt rehearsed.
Not blood, not smoke. A wet animal stink that didn't belong on a man. Ewan smelled it too, and his face said, "Run."
Ewan backed away from Reed like he'd seen a fuse burning. He held up a hand, stop, right at Harper. Reed didn't protest. He just turned toward the fog, listening. And somewhere out there, 2 howls answered each other.
Harper tested Reed with a signal we'd drilled 100 times. Reed copied it, but a beat late and not quite right. Harper's eyes hardened. Reed's gaze slid past him into the fog, like someone else was answering.
The fog shifted like it was making room for something. Reed turned toward it, slow, pulled by a sound we couldn't hear. Harper blocked him, grabbed his sleeve, held him back. And Reed didn't fight. He listened.
The fog opened just enough to show eyes, yellow, low, watching. Harper raised his rifle slow and steady. Ewan pointed like there were more. Reed didn't flinch. And that was worse than the eyes.
Harper didn't wait for it to rush us. He signaled a withdrawal and we moved. Quiet, fast, rifles up. The fog didn't follow like weather. It followed like a pack. And Reed kept walking like he already knew the route.
Reed slid to the front and turned us left like he owned the ground. Ewan grabbed Harper. Wrong way. Harper stopped the line and everyone held still. Reed turned back, calm as stone. Behind us, the fog moved closer.
Ewan held out a piece of silver without a word. Reed stared at it and something in his face tightened, like the smell hurt. He didn't touch it. He looked into the fog instead. Ewan pulled his hand back, shaking.
Reed didn't argue. He just smiled. Small, quiet, wrong. Harper stepped in front of Mason without thinking. Jules pulled him back. Ewan's hand closed around the silver, and Reed turned toward the fog like it was home.
The fog finally opened, and the pack stood there, 3, maybe 4, watching like we were already caught. Harper aimed but didn't fire. Ewan stepped back. Reed stepped forward, and the creatures didn't rush. They waited.
Reed lowered his rifle like it wasn't needed anymore. Then he walked toward them, slow, certain. Harper reached for him and stopped himself from firing. The nearest creature stepped in close and sniffed him. Reed didn't even blink.
The creature sniffed Reed, then stepped aside. Another moved too, opening a path like a ceremony. Reed walked through the pack as if he belonged there. We didn't fire because nothing attacked. They just watched him pass and watched us understand.
Harper watched Reed vanish into them and made the call. We weren't rescuing him, we were surviving. Kim led us downslope, Jules dragged Mason, and Ewan found cover. The pack didn't chase, it just watched, like it had already won.
We ran. The heather grabbed our boots and the fog stole our distance. Then the pack moved, silent at first, then fast. Mason slipped and Jules hauled him up. Harper looked back once and saw it. They weren't chasing blind, they were closing.
Ewan found a rock cut and we dropped into it like it was a trench. Kim slid but stayed upright. Jules shoved Mason down after her. Above us, the pack crowded the rim. Harper fired once, and the echo bought us a single second.
The rock cut didn't trap them. It guided them. One dropped in behind us, then another, landing like weight and muscle. Harper fired into the stone and debris sprayed, but it barely slowed them. Their footfalls echoed closer, and the bend ahead felt like our last chance.
We hit the bend and Ewan pointed to a ledge. Our way out. Kim climbed first. Harper shoved Mason up by his vest and Jules followed. No shooting, no slowing, just hands on wet stone. Behind us, the growls got closer.
We cleared the ledge and found a drop on the far side. Kim jumped first, then Jules. Mason hesitated until Harper shoved him. He hit hard and rolled. Harper dropped last and turned back. Above us, the pack was already climbing.
We sprinted for the tree line like it was a border we could cross. Ewan pointed the way and Kim kept scanning the fog. Mason was fading and Jules wouldn't let him stop. Harper looked back. Too often, the pack was gaining. I ran downhill for the tree line and didn't dare slow. Kim was ahead, Ewan guiding us through the fog. Mason stumbled and Jules yanked him forward without stopping. I glanced back once, still running. The howl was closer.
The tree line wasn't safety, it was a wall. We hit the pines and the branches grabbed our kit like hands. Kim shoved through first, Ewan picking a path. Mason caught on a limb and Jules shoved him free. Behind us, something big snapped wood.
We didn't stop, we crept, scanning between the pines. Ewan pushed through branches and Kim signaled quiet. Mason slipped in the mud and Jules hauled him forward without breaking pace. Harper kept checking behind us. Then a twig snapped and the growl shifted closer.
A twig snapped behind us, close. I checked over my shoulder without slowing, then forced my eyes forward again. Kim and Ewan kept moving, deeper into the pines. Jules hauled Mason along by the strap.
I jogged through the stones, keeping moving because stopping felt like dying. Fog slid around my legs and rain stung my face. Ewan pointed us out, Kim cutting left. Jules yanked Mason forward as he stumbled. Then a howl hit close.
The forest stops being a place and starts being a trap. The eyes aren't behind you, they're beside you. And somewhere in the fog, Reed isn't missing anymore. He's changed. If we go back for him, we might not come back human.
Reed didn't run. He walked into the fog like it was calling him home. The pack didn't tear him apart. They circled him, sniffed him, accepted him. And when he stepped forward again, he vanished with them, like he'd always belonged.
If you enjoyed this story, like and subscribe, because Reed didn't escape the wolves. He became one of them.